Welcome to Beers with Bands. My name is Eamon McGrath. We are here at the beautiful Batch House in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Thanks for joining us. Having a pint.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Black lager.
It is
recommended by you.
Yes.
And,
one of my favorite, rather unappreciated styles of beer out there is the black lager.
This is killer.
It's a good beer. If you like dark beers but nothing heavy, it's the way to go.
It's like a Guinness with a bit more fizz to it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So let's take it back to firsts. Do you remember the first alcoholic beverage or beer that you ever had?
Oh man,
We're gonna sit back.
I'm from Edmonton, so still to this day in Alberta, and I'll never understand this, but a tall boy of craft beer in Alberta at a liquor store is like $5, but a 2.6 of Smirnoff you can get for like 16, depending on the weekend, and the special they've got on. So when you're like you're like a 13, 14-year-old kid.
Teen.
Yeah. Wait, I can't believe we're talking about this underage drinking.
No.
Brewery.
It's a Canadian tradition.
Canadian pastime. When you get, someone's older sibling to boot for you, or you convince someone outside the liquor store in January and minus 30 in Edmonton, you don't go to the beer fridge. It's like straight to the deal. So my drink was like, I think it was Crown Royal. Nice. Which is, I still to this day cannot even smell because of the bone crushing morning that came after.
Yeah.
It was like, just a typical juvenile delinquency.
It's a typical Canadian experience.
Crown Royal.
Yeah.
And then I think after that it was, I want to say like Appleton Estate, probably like the weekend later. So then again,
we never learned.
Yeah, I never learned. Still to this day. So I think that that's one of the reasons why. Can't drink rum, can't drink Crown Royal, but everything else I'm usually pretty okay with.
Yeah.
But
what about first CD? Do you remember the first CD you ever bought?
Probably Evil Empire by Rage Against the Machine. And I'm proud to say that I still love that album.
Yeah.
It was a toss-up between that record and Relationship of Command by At the Drive-In, and for some reason I picked Rage Against the Machine. I don't know why. Probably some arbitrary, stupid reason. Like,
did
I
it
thought
have one of those like explicit lyrics labels on it? That's
exactly.
probably
probably what I did, and I think that like a couple kids in my elementary school class who knew about them, and they didn't know about At the Drive-In, so I thought that having the Rage album would make me cooler at the time.
Right.
It's crazy that a 9-year-old kid would be worried about being cool, but I guess that's actually all that a 9-year-old kid has to worry about is being cool. Yeah. So anyway, thank you to Rage Against the Machine for making me so cool. But At the Drive-In, that album actually ended up becoming a really landmark record for me. Anyway, also, which is interesting, because I could be wrong about this, but I think that those two records were produced by the same guy. I think Ross Robinson did both of them. And in hindsight, they both actually kind of sound sort of similar, but they set the course for like two very different directions in music in the 2000s, which is cool too. Yeah. So anyway, I ended up liking a lot of bands after that, like Refused and all that kind of stuff that I probably never would have been seasoned to had I not listened to Rage Against the Machine and At the Drive-In.
What about first concert?
My first concert was, I can't remember how young I was. I was really young. My dad took me to see Green Day and the Foo Fighters at Edgefest 97 or 98 or something, I think. Nice. Yeah, like I'm a bit of a weird generational anomaly, I guess you could say. Like I'm not quite a millennial, but I'm also not I was born in 88. So I'm old enough to remember like the 90s before Roskilde, before, or Woodstock 99 or whatever, before all that stuff.
Yeah.
Before like the Prague Spring of rock and roll in the 90s ended, when concerts got really safe and kind of docile and homogenized.
Yeah.
So I'm on. Then I remember seeing them after. So like I'm old enough where I can like compare the two.
Yeah.
But I'm not old enough where I was, fortunate enough to have seen, say, like Nirvana or something.
Yeah.
So I did get like the tail end of all of that, but that was still crazy.
Yeah.
Like there was still, like
it's kind of a sweet spot of transition though.
Yeah, like thinking about it now, and it's gotten way more homogenized.
Yes.
So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I did witness it with my own eyes. However, they were very young eyes. But I still, it was crazy. It was like
eyes clouded by Crown
changed
Royal
my
and
life.
Appleton Estates.
Yeah, like years later. Yeah, but no, I mean, yeah. Thanks, Dad, for exposing him, having the guts to expose me to that. Because, yeah, in those days it was really, really crazy. Like there was, it was a different world back then.
Yeah. So. Yeah. What about current? So what are you currently drinking a lot of? And it doesn't have to be alcohol. Could be a kombucha fan or a coffee fiend.
Yeah, I mean, I in Toronto, I live by Full Stop, so I usually get their espresso. I don't know who their beans supplier is, but I make that at home. When I'm out west in Edmonton, or if I'm touring Western Canada, I drink the Grizzlar. Mm-hmm. That's probably like the best coffee in Canada.
So you're a big coffee fan.
Yeah, but like strictly espresso, and that's for purely like logistical purposes when you're touring.
Yes.
Espresso is like, down to business. Usually, the flavor is it's my preferred kind of drink.
Nice.
No BS. It's over really quickly. Less pit stops when you're in the van. In terms of beer, like I love a really good artisanal craft beer. Don't get me wrong, but like for me, the beauty of beer is being able to drink a lot of it. Mm-hmm. So I usually just exploit the LCBO.
Yeah.
I'm usually like I get a tall can of Faxa.
Yeah.
Or something. It's $2. Still
beer.
Still beer, and it's probably the only thing about living in Toronto that's remained as cheap as I feel that it was when I first moved here 10 years ago. Like you can still get a lot of beer for $20 in this town, which is one of the most kind of, in a lot of ways, unique things about it, because you can't get a lot of anything in Toronto for $20.
Exactly.
But you can get tall cans for $20. So.
Exactly. What about on the music side of things? What are you currently listening to a lot of right now? Like who's on your radar?
Calvin Love just put out a new record, which was like a collection of some B-sides, rarities of, as far as I know, B-sides and rarities around the release of his last record, his last full-length Highway Dancer. Mm-hmm. Highway Dancer by Calvin Love and the Boy Genius EP pretty much were in like near constant rotation in the van when we toured Canada last year.
Yeah.
Like all seasons, all the time, we listened to it constantly.
Yeah.
This year, there's Seth Anderson is putting out a record actually in like 2 weeks that I produced 2 years ago in my former apartment on in the Annex, just west of the Annex. I'm really proud of that record. I was talking to Seth a couple of days ago, and it's gotten to the point now where I'm far enough removed from the actual production of the record where I can actually listen to it as though I would as a fan.
Yeah.
And so that's really nice, because I think that it's a great album. If I heard that and I hadn't been involved with it, I would think that it was great. So his record's awesome. I like a lot of ambient stuff. I always listen to Brian Eno, Stars of the Lid, Death Prod, Super Silent, sort of like some Scandinavian ambient stuff like that. Yeah, that's like when I'm at home alone. That's usually my go-to.
So you talked about being in the van. So obviously, as a touring musician, you spend a lot of time on the road in vans and buses and cross country. Yeah. What do you do in the van to keep yourself occupied? What keeps you busy in the van?
We are pretty old school. Like all of us are very fortunate enough to be really close in terms of people being friends.
Yeah.
We yap and talk and crank tunes.
Nice.
Like I'm a long way removed in my life from like daytime beers. Like I don't do that anymore. I used to, but we, no matter like regardless of that, we're always partying.
Yeah.
You're
always having a good time.
Yeah. I think that's really, really instrumental in especially if you're like a solo artist that's hiring people. That's where obviously people feel an investment in the music, because especially like I'm someone that I don't control the parts that people play. Like everybody who's playing in my band brings their own interpretation of the music to the songs. So everybody, I think, feels like a personal attachment and investment to the songs. But when you're not writing songs together as a band, it's really important to have that sense of brotherhood or whatever, brevity, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. We make sure that that everybody's always in really good headspace and. Yeah, I mean that's we like no one in the band ever really like shuts themselves out. You know, like when you see a photo of like bands on tour and everyone's in the dressing room with their headphones in and checking their phone or whatever. I mean, like obviously everybody pays attention to what's going on back home and stuff, but we don't. I don't think there's any attempt to be like alienated from each other, which is really important, I think, in terms of like making sure that a band can last a long time. Yeah. Because all bands break up. It's inevitable.
And that also comes across on stage, that
100%.
companionship and friendship.
And it makes the music better. It's like we can and we do this all the time where like we'll talk about a song that we want to cover or a song from my catalog that we want to add to the set, and we listen to it a couple times in the van, and by sound check we're ready to, and we run it, and by the show that night we're playing it. Yeah. That kind of spontaneity artistically is something that can only happen to people that are really comfortable being around each other, that have each other's backs. Yeah. So yeah, we hang out. It's like touring with me is a total party. Yeah. Nice. Absolutely.
Is there something you have to bring from home that you have to have with you every time?
Not really. I mean, I sometimes I'll bring like some kind of a postcard or something cheesy or sappy, but I'm so used to being away, and my girlfriend and I have been together for so long, and it's been such a part of our relationship from day one that we're pretty good at dealing with it. Yeah. And I mean, when it's your job, it's also a totally different story. You know, it's tough, but everybody understands the necessity of it. So
absolutely, but there's no favorite blanket or pillow that you gotta bring.
No, I'm not like that.
You're not attached that way. No. Perfect. So you get to brew your own beer. You get to pick any style. You get to put in any secret ingredient that is personal to you, and then name it after one of your songs. What are you brewing?
Oh, the Guts Lager.
The Guts
for
Lager.
Sure.
Okay, what's in it though?
I think I would abide by the German purity law. Just barley, malts, hops, and water.
Strictly straight lager.
Yeah, 100%. I saying that though, I do understand that. The simpler the flavor of the beer, the harder it is to brew. Yep. So maybe if I was first starting out, I'd probably just make an IPA or something a little bit less easily, ruined or whatever, just so I could get the tall cans flying off the shelf. Which I think is the strategy of a lot of craft breweries in this
Would
province.
You name that one a different beer? Would that one be different?
Yeah, that would probably be the City by the Lake IPA.
Okay. Any special ingredient?
Again, I think it would just be the German purity law. That's kind of my rule of thumb.
Perfect. Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple, and then just make sure the ratios are consistent. Yeah. Yeah.
Simple. Perfect. So where can everyone find you on all your socials? Is it the same across the board?
It's Eamon_McGrath on Instagram. Eamon McGrath, all one word, on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, just my name. And then all the typical
music
digital
places.
Service providers, Spotify, Apple Music, all that. Okay. The record came out last September on Uncle M in Germany, and Europe-wide in the UK, and then for the rest of the world, Saved by Vinyl has taken care of it.
Perfect. And we'll make sure that we post all the links to his socials in the post below. Make sure you give him a follow. Check him out when he's in a town New Year. You have a European tour coming up?
Yeah, we leave April 21st for Amsterdam. We spend a couple days there rehearsing, and then the following weekend the tour begins, and we go to Germany, Austria, do a couple shows in the Netherlands. We're in Switzerland, and I think by the time this video airs, there will be a bunch of Spanish dates that have been announced too.
Very cool.
So it's a pretty extensive tour.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. And we'll make sure that we have all the links so you guys can catch them in a city near you. Make sure you give us a follow. We're Beers with Bands. Beers Bands on Instagram and Twitter. And cheers.
Cheers. Thanks again.
Thank you.